Today is Thursday. We had some sprints. I'm sitting here because I want to read something. So before I pull off, we won't be texting and driving, reading and driving. We did 6 times 50 meters, but you won't be able to tell in the video. I don't even know how well you'll be able to see the workout, honestly, because I point and shoot the camera and just go. And I saw a comment from someone about like needing to have a camera person. I'm a single mother doing the best that I can with what I have until these things start generating some income where I can justify such an investment. This is what you get. But the sprints are downhill, and so it kind of equates as a form of over sprinting, because if you can imagine, for the indoor season when we run on a banked track, there's emphasis placed on like the acceleration that you get coming off of the turn, coming down that bank. So kind of a similar thing there. And if you have any more questions about that, leave that down below and I will try my best to further explain, but I think that's the gist of it. It's a form of speed work, and it's a form of like trying to get the legs to turn over faster. With that, moving on, the thought of today is imposter syndrome. And in case some people don't know what imposter syndrome means, I pulled it up so that I could read a definition. It says imposter syndrome, now this is Wikipedia's definition, also known as imposter phenomenon, imposterism, fraud syndrome, or the imposter experience, is a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their skills, talents, or accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. All right, so now that I read that, I can pull off and start my journey home. But that was my thought of the day, because I had some things come up today that got me pumped up and excited. I won't share because I like to work in silence, and then, as things come to fruition, then I share. But it was kind of like a motivating conversation of man, we can do this. Let's do this. Let's get our ducks in a row. Let's do what we got to do. Let's put the work in. But also, it's also that time of year. And as we come to the close of the year, everyone's, New Year's resolutions and things they want to change, things they want to do, reflecting on 2020. And I am most definitely in a reflective mode, because I don't know about you guys, but 2020 tried your girl. And I'm gonna say tried because it really knocked the wind out of me in some sense, but it also was a year of tremendous growth for me. And just having to look myself in the mirror on a lot of things. It's one of the reasons actually why I'm kind of appreciative for the pandemic, is because it kind of forced a lot of us to sit still. And had my life kept moving as planned, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to take a step back, look in the mirror, reevaluate things, reevaluate myself, more importantly. Imposter syndrome, though, you guys know I'm in school rather. I started a graduate program. Mental health is a passion of mine, and 2020 propelled me into, let me sign up for some classes and start preparing for my life after sport, and how I can meaningfully contribute to women in sports, and just my athletic community and my community as a whole. Honestly, I think mental health, especially in the Black community and the Black Caribbean communities, is something that we need to occupy more space and advocate for among our community. But I struggle with imposter syndrome. So my classes are 7 weeks. I take 1 class at a time, 2 classes per semester. So, we're in quarters. So you take a class the first 7 weeks of the semester, another class the second 7 weeks of the semester. What I've noticed is the first few weeks of the class, I'm kind of like, I don't really know, because you're learning your professor, trying to figure out okay, they're asking this question, but what exactly are they looking for? Can I get this done? And I procrastinate because I'm second guessing myself, and I'm, I don't want to face getting the work done for whatever reason, because I think it's hard, or man, I just don't want to do this. And then I get to doing it, and once I start doing it, I'm like, why did you stress yourself out over this? It's great. And I've been getting A's all semester. So just yesterday, this week is my final week of class. So my final assignment is due this Sunday at midnight. And so it's a final assignment. And so I just kind of glanced at it, and I was like, oh my God, it's a 10-page paper. I immediately went into, I don't want to do this. But something later on made me go and look at the assignment thoroughly. And I was like, oh snap, like this isn't that bad. And as a matter of fact, let me get started on it now. I'm not even gonna wait till the weekend, because that's what I typically do. I typically wait until the weekend to get started on the assignment that's due on Sunday. Now, obviously, it's 10 pages, so it's a little bit more than what has been required every other Sunday. I should take more time, but I decided to start Wednesday evening instead of Saturday. But it got me to thinking, like, how many times have I done this where, you know, I look at a thing and I talk myself out of doing a thing because I'm doubting, you know, how well I can do a thing. And every week that I get my evaluations back from my professor, it's always my high praises. I mean, of course, you know, you need to work on this or correct that. I took a point away for this. For the most part, I am doing great. And so I just wanted to come through and ask, like, how many of us suffer from imposter syndrome? And I think that, you know, going back to reflecting on the year of 2020 and what we're hoping to improve going into 2021, and not to make this a thing that like you're self-deprecating or like you start beating up on yourself, but you know, this really was a time that we could have, or I chose to use to grow and to, you know, immerse myself in things that would stretch me and challenge me and, you know, really push me to be my best self in all aspects of my life. But how much of that has been hindered from the imposter syndrome? Like, you know, I look at my businesses, 400 Meter Diva Collection, which got my war paint on again today. Check it out, 400mdiva.com. But I got my foundation. Then it even made me think about my training, the years in the past. And I've been open about, you know, my struggles with believing in myself over the years and, you know, finding the mental toughness and going to counseling was the thing that, you know, flipped my career and really put me in a position to propel and be successful. But how much of what I really could be has been hindered by this imposter syndrome? Because at the end of the day, she is fly, she is intelligent, she is all things that I want to be. And you know, as long as I'm willing to do the work, and I am willing to do the work. That's the other thing, that like, there's not a thing that you won't put in front of me. And in that moment, I might question myself, I might doubt myself, find a way to get it done, and I find a way to knock it out the park. And so I just wonder how much more productive would I and could I be if I just from the jump just say, you know what, I got this. I'm just gonna knock it out. So I'm starting this little challenge out with my final paper this week where it, you know, I think I've mentioned it on here before, where sometimes I turn my work in and I'm like, I feel like I could be turning in more productive or a better representation of my work if I wasn't procrastinating and I was, you know, pacing myself to do my work and managing my time correctly in order to turn in work that I could be proud of. And it's been negatively, positively reinforced where I go through that every week and then I get, you know, good grades back, and it's kind of like, oh, well, I'm doing well this way anyway. But now I want to challenge myself to see, like, how great will my work be this week and going forward through the rest of my program and anything else that I set out to do, because I get rid of this imposter syndrome and I just, you know, believe in myself and believe in my capability of doing these things. And if and when the moment does come that I don't know how to do something, just ask for some help. You know, I always talk about how, you know, asking for help does not mean you're weak, stupid, none of the above. It actually means the total opposite, because you know, as long as you're willing to learn and willing to ask for help where necessary, you've actually got a leg up on everybody else, because that means you're not willing to stay stagnant. You're willing to do what's necessary to get the job done, to move on to the next thing, to grow. Let go of the imposter syndrome. I don't know who that message was for, but it was definitely for me this morning and last night. And I hope that, you know, that's a little piece of motivation for you all. I'm headed home from practice. I am going to allot about an hour and a half to 2 hours of time this evening to work on my final paper. I will do that for the next few days, to, you know, get it turned in on time. And I may even actually get it done early, but we'll see. More importantly, so that I can turn in a paper that when I turn it in, I feel good about it. I feel like this is my best work that I'm turning in, and not just, you know, I'm burnt out. I waited until the last minute to get this done, so this teacher is just gonna get what she gets. No, we gonna turn in our best work this week. And let this be the first step of showing up as the best Natasha in class. I hope that spoke to you. As usual, subscribe, comment, like, notification bar, all that stuff, all that good jazz. Happy to be back. I'm happy to be in my war paint. Today was a good day of practice. Feeling good about where we are in training, and yeah.